Hey, everybody, Kathy and Mark.
Hi.
We're doing a review of a film that's currently on Hulu called The Royal Hotel, which was directed by Kitty Green, who did the film The Assistant, which came out a couple of years ago,
Loved that.
which is also, and both films star Julia Garner, who you might know from The
Also
Americans or
love her.
Ozark, and she's always good, and she's good
Always
in
good.
this. Also starring Jessica Henwick, and they play two. They say they're from Canada. They're in Australia,
Random. Yeah.
yeah, and they're just hanging out, backpacking through the
Yeah.
country. Just kind of just bumming around, enjoying life. And then, but they run out of money.
Yeah. Just want to pick up a little extra cash and work like, a temp job somewhere, like, bartending or working
Right.
somewhere, just for a couple weeks.
So they go to the employment office. Say, well, there's a place out there that you might want to go out and do it for a couple of weeks, and so they decide to go out to the
But
middle
I
of
love her
nowhere.
caveat. The
Yeah,
employment goes, oh, and also just, there aren't many women there, so you'll get a lot of male attention. I hope you're okay with that. And you're like, oh, yeah, so what else to do? They're like, yeah, sure, we can handle it.
right.
It's like,
Because
oh, my.
it's a mining town in
Yeah,
the
it's a
middle
mining
of
town.
the outback of Australia, and it's just this one hotel slash bar semi restaurant place, and it's just all guys, all
Oh,
roughnecks,
really bad guys, like,
some
no.
townies. There's Hugo Weaving plays the owner, and his wife is the cook, the chef,
Yep.
and they just work the bar. They're just
Yeah.
bartenders.
Yeah.
So that's the kind of, and it's just the setting. They have during the day they go to this. They thought there would be a pool there, and there's a pool, but there's no water, so they
It's
just
an
hang
empty
out
pool.
there, drink beer.
And
They
the
hang out.
hotel is very, like,
Sketch.
sketch. Yeah, it's
Yeah.
like it's this 2-story, like, basically brick, like, I don't know, well, not a brick, but it's just very low rent looking. Everything's falling down and broken down, and it's a bunch of drunks every night fighting in the bar. That's the kind of place it is. It's rough and tumble.
Rough and tumble, and there are two women from who are just finishing up their 2 weeks or whatever, however long they were there, and they're just getting drunk, and
Oh, they're wasted every
it's,
night. They're,
they're screwing
crazy.
guys. It's just like they're kind of a
Passed out in
mess.
the hallway. Yeah, it's
Yeah.
like that's the kind of place we're talking about.
And right away, Julia Garner's character Hannah says, I want to go.
Yeah, she got her hackles up. She's like, I don't think
I
this
don't
is.
want to. But Liv, played by Jessica Henwick, is like, just take it easy,
Oh,
relax.
come on. It's just a bar. The bunch of fun people.
Yeah,
having
we need to
fun.
make some money. This is what we're supposed to be doing here.
Yeah.
So we're kind of
No big deal.
experiencing life. So, but what's interesting about this movie and why I think it works is like, as a male, I get the sense of the angst and nervousness and the threatening feeling that
Yeah.
this place has, where in reality, I mean, when you're watching it, they're just idiot dudes, drinking, but they start making comments. They start
Yeah.
talking about the new girls. They start,
Yeah.
sexist comments, or not all of them. Some seem like they're just totally normal.
Yeah.
Some seem like they're interested, maybe in a nice way.
Yeah.
Some want to be friends. Anyway, it's like it's palpable throughout the film.
Yes.
And not in a comfortable, enjoyable way. It's
No.
sweat inducing, and like I was like, just get the fuck out of here.
I
Just
know.
go.
Everything in fiber of my being was like, run away as fast as you can. I mean, even like they were staying in the hotel where the bar is, because it's the only place in town. It's literally in the middle of nowhere. Just them going up to the hallway and getting in the room, and there's already like someone in it, and then that you couldn't really lock the doors very, like, it was all just felt very like not very safe and not very secure. And
Right.
the fact that it was all men and they all look like threatening and kind of overbearing. I just felt like I wouldn't be able to sleep. And I don't think they could even sleep, especially Julia Garner. Like she was me, how I would be. Because I'm not like party girl bar guy. So when I was watching her, I'm like, I was feeling exactly what she felt. Like I was like, that would be me. I was like, it's not funny. I'm not having fun. This is not cool. People are saying weird shit. I feel like something bad is going to happen. She's like, oh, relax. And I cannot tell you how many times friends of mine would tell me that, because I was always on alert. I mean, I've always been that person.
Yeah.
I related to her because I like that they had those two like kind of archetypes. The women who are, a little bit more nervous about things like this, a little more on guard. And then the women who are, just have some fun and let it loose. I never was that person. So I was definitely relating to her, and I would not have stayed even one night. I would have been like, I don't care if I have to walk out of here.
Right.
I'm getting out of here. But I like how they filmed it too. Like they started, it seems kind of okay, like sketchy, but like
yeah,
You're
you could
backpacking with no money. You're like you're
right,
into
you're gonna
that.
put up with that kind of stuff because it's
Yeah,
part of the experience.
exactly.
And Hugo Weaving, who he's the drunk owner of this place, he's just sort of very matter of fact, but he's getting drunk. He's sort of useless. His wife is
Yeah,
much kind of gets it a little bit, but
yeah.
she's just in this situation
He's
that's really
just enabling everything. Yeah.
right. So, but they befriend this guy Matty, who seems like a decent guy,
Yeah, he seemed cute. He was cute, had kind of baby face.
right? And they were
He's
hanging
kinda
out,
normal.
right? And there were a few others so there was reason enough for them to stay because there were some guys there that were maybe had their back.
Yeah.
Maybe you felt that a little bit.
Yeah, they weren't
Um,
all bad. There's
they
at
weren't
least some humanity. Yeah.
right, but then with they get drunk. That there's nights where they're just stinking drunk.
Ugh,
And then that's when the shit starts to
yeah.
happen. And without getting into what happens, it's just like it escalates.
It
And
escalates very
and
quickly.
and it's like lives gets way too drunk, and then like of course that's when it really like Hannah's
Yeah,
like nervous because here's my partner
yeah,
is sort of pushing away from me and getting
yeah,
involved in this, and I'm by myself now.
yeah,
you know
and she's by herself. Like, she's
yeah,
putting herself at risk by, letting her guard down,
right,
and I mean, I think there was also you could tell a woman shot this because it had that sort of subtle kind of, underlying threat that women feel every moment of the day. So,
absolutely.
we
I
had
felt it.
I love, like, there was the guy who just was like, when they're going to the room in the hallway, and he just looked a little too he just stood there, but he had this weird predatory he just stood and looked, and she was like, "He looks like a wolf who wants to eat us." Like that,
Yeah,
I think that was the phrase, but it's like,
yeah.
he was always really quiet, but he had this weird intensity, it seemed like someone was about to snap.
And he wasn't like this big hulking
No,
scary
just a
guy. He was
little
kind of
normal
like
looking guy.
yeah, but he had a look.
There's just
And
some
there's a
intensity. It's like,
scene where
"Ooh."
he sort of there was a couple, an
Yeah.
older
Oh,
couple
yeah.
walk in, and then it
Yeah.
turns into this is back and forth that's
Yeah.
not at all pleasant. And you just go, this guy is like he's a powder keg. Something's going to
Oh,
happen with
it was
him.
so scary.
And so that's what the movie is.
Yes.
And we and Kathy and I talked earlier that we have some problems with how it ended. I think
Yeah.
there's some issues with the film, but I think it's really well directed. I think Kitty Green is a really talented
Yeah.
filmmaker, and she took what was like, this is just a bar in the middle of nowhere, two women, young
Mhm.
women, and made it a kind of a scary place.
Yeah. And it wasn't overt it wasn't a horror movie necessarily,
No,
but it was
not at
this
all.
kinda scary, slow burn, kinda underlying depiction of what women put up with just to live. And I think what was cool is they start off like you said, it starts off kind of fun. And they get in the bar and they're just behind the bar and they're slinging drinks and everybody's having a good time. But then as time goes on a little bit, it gets a little more crowded. Everybody gets a little more violent. Like there's this ramping up of like not only cinematography, but the actual action that's in the movie. Like it just gets a little bit too close. Like you want it to
Yeah,
push it away. It's like, and
exactly.
they're like getting a little too overbearing. And the one guy who's always quiet and usually nice to you is just looking a little like, hey, we should go out sometime. And when you say, I can't do it, all of a sudden you're like, I just made an enemy because I
Right.
said no.
He
And then you
storms
realize his
off.
whole attitude kind of shifts. And you're like, he don't have my back anymore. He is against me now. Like, and that's that creepy sort of line. Like they have to say no, but not, make the man angry. And then they have to sort of like de-escalate everything all the time. So you felt this constant attempt to de-escalate and also to kind of comfort yourself. It's going to be fine, right? I'll be fine, right? And then I almost feel like even though I didn't actually love the last shot, which we talked about, which no spoilers, but I feel like symbolically it was sort of like how it would feel with women just to be free, like just
Uh,
to so I feel
that's
like that was sort of the visual, supposed to literal. I feel like it was almost more symbolic, but
I
it
agree
just
with
felt
I
so
agree with
creepy. I
that.
get goosebumps thinking about just how grimy that, just creepy
Yeah,
that
and
place is.
there's aside
Yeah,
from the wife of the owner, there's also one other woman
yeah,
who is like the town drunk, and she's
yeah.
an absolutely miserable person, and she's
Oh,
sort of laughing because
yeah,
she, even in a drunk state, knows what's happening here.
yeah. Doesn't care.
She doesn't
Mhm.
care,
Doesn't care.
and she's just sort of like looking at these two young, women from away
Almost
from
like she
somewhere
wants
else.
to see him get taken down.
Like yeah, like there's something there.
You
So
think
there's
you're better than me.
yeah, so it
Mm.
was just the claustrophobia. I've never really been a bartender, but
Yeah, no way.
but like you could kind of sense like
Yeah.
everybody's looking at you. Everybody wants, get that guy a beer. You're waiting too long. All this, and you're stressed out, and then you're
Yeah.
not feeling good, and you want to get out, but there's not
Yeah.
another bus for a week or whatever. That kind of stuff.
It's so
Yeah.
so terrifying. So we have some posters here. So this is like first of all, I love movies set up in like backpackers in the middle of nowhere. That's a great horror setup. This isn't
Yeah.
necessarily a horror movie, but has some horrific moments, but it's not really that. So I see this and I'm seeing like Wolf Creek or something like, oh, they're all going to be murdered, but that's not what happens. It's not that movie, but it's sort of a more horror movie of more sexism and emotional horror than it is anything else.
It's something that you could actually believe totally happening,
And there's our lovely hotel in the background, that lovely gross.
Yeah.
And you can see, like, I like a little bit of their different attitudes. Like, you see Julia Garner's like looking kind of concerned, and the girl in the background, like, we'll be fine, right? Like, just that little bit of a softer expression.
Right.
But I like it's kind of close up and claustrophobic, even though there's that big background behind them. It's a really pretty poster. But yeah, it was a really interesting film. And it was like I saw it, and I found it really depressing, because I feel like in life, just being a woman, you have to put up with so much of that. I'm not trying to be like a,
No, but I will just say that, I sensed it, and I think it's a really good movie for men to watch, because you really sense like being behind the bar as one of those girls dealing with this group of people that, just are, are on the edge of doing something really nasty. And if you haven't seen The Assistant, that's Kitty Green's first film, and it's also Julia Garner who plays
same thing.
It's an office. I think it's also set in Australia. I think
it was Hollywood.
Oh, was it Hollywood? Okay.
It was the entertainment business. This is why I love it. It was like a female version of Swimming with Sharks.
Right.
We had her as the assistant who goes into work for like a filmmaker. Like, it was at a studio.
Right.
And the way they treat her, like, it was so realistic. Like, I'm watching it going, oh my gosh, they nailed this weird sort of ominous sort of weird pressure that you feel like is getting put on you, and you're being viewed differently from everyone else. Like, she was sort of feeling it when she tries to do something about it. Of course, it completely backfires, and it's all, oh my God. She makes very uncomfortable films.
She does, but I love that. I've told you before, I love when there's dread in movies. That to me is the stuff that really gets me. And there is dread in both of these films in different ways, but Kitty Green, she's a director. I'm definitely watching whatever comes down the pike for her. She's really impressive, really talented. So it's on Hulu if you're in the mood for something that's not, it's not Good Time Charlie. But it's an interesting film, and anything shot in the Australian outback always has a vibe that's very intriguing for me. So
it's a really smart film, great performances, really, really well staged. Like, you really feel like you're in this environment. You can almost feel the heat. You can just really, really gorgeous production value for, that kind of isolation, kind of dread horror, I guess we could call it.
Right.
It was like really, really great. And Julia Garner, you just can't get away from her. She's great.
She's great. So check it out if you're in the mood for one of those kind of movies. So thanks very much. We'll see you soon. Later.
Bye.